in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live.
Right now.
Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York,
Brooklyn.
All my people, you rocking with the chat.
Hit that.
The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the Knicks Evening Vibe. Oh, man, what can I say? The Knicks lost to Miami last night. I don't even know what the score was. I think it was 101 to 108 or 109, something like that. The Knicks are down 1-3 in the series. Game 5 back at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night. What can I say? I want to be positive. I want to look at the bigger picture. That's going to have to wait until the offseason. Right now, I just have to acknowledge that Miami is the better team. And I get it. Some people are trying to parse it. Oh, the Knicks have the better talent, individual talent, but Miami is the better team. Listen, Miami is the better team. They're a more experienced team. They're the ones that's executing right now. They're the ones that have more players stepping up for them in this series. And listen, let's not lose sight of the fact that Tyler Hero, which was a big part of their team, a big part of their scoring, is out with an injury. Victor Oladipo, who, listen, at some points during the season, he was out of the rotation, but his minutes went up when Tyler Hero went down. He got hurt. He's out for the season. And then here comes Strauss and Gabe Vincent and Khalid Martin. Talk about the next man up. That's been Miami in this series. They seem to play harder than the Knicks. They're going for every loose ball. Last night, let me see if I have it right. They had 7 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter alone, 13 for the game for 17 second chance points. We had 7. That's the Knicks. That's our game, getting second and third opportunities at the basket, beating teams, outscoring teams in second chance points. That's us, and that was Miami last night. They shot more field goals. They shot more threes. They out-rebounded the Knicks. And like I just said, more second chance points. I'm not a big one. You hardly ever hear me, if you've ever heard me, talk about the officials, but they've really been horrible in this series. I just think that what it takes for the Knicks to get a call and get to the foul line is much different than what it takes for Miami to get a call and get to the foul line, particularly Jimmy Butler. However, if you add up the free throws in this series, it's probably even or somewhat even. But it just seems when the game means the most at those critical moments, the Knicks just can't get that call. I'm hopeful, though, when I'm looking at the bigger picture of the Knicks, I'm hopeful. Like teams have to take their lumps. Right? Very rarely do you just get into the playoffs your first or second time and go all the way to the finals. If there ever was a year to do it, though, this was the year, right? With Milwaukee being out and Miami being the 8th seed, but Miami is showing us they're not really an 8th seed. But Cleveland took their lumps this season. Memphis took their lumps this season. Sacramento took their lumps this season. The series is not over, but it looks like New York is going to take their lumps. All right, let's get into it. I got Jeff Claff. Jeff Clafter's becoming a regular. So I'm going to go through my usual quickly. I got the stats and what have you. I'm not sure how much I'm going to get into the stats. I just feel like in the playoffs, particularly right now, it's just more than stats. It's just about guys showing up and executing the game plan. But I'll do a little bit of stats. Shout out to everybody that's rocking with me. Jersey Rich, Humble Down, Dwayne Dennis, Tim Smith. I appreciate you, Tim Smith, Geraldine MacGyver, Jeff Clafter in the back. Jarrell, I'm going to be on Jarrell's show. Let me see. Let me see if I get this right. Die Hard Giants Live. I think I got it right. The description, the link is in the description, I should say, to subscribe to his channel. I'm only going to 9 tonight because I got to be on with my guy, Jarrell. Shout out to Kerry Cox, Knicks are nice, Mike Boy, Keith Turner, and what's that? Diva Locks 21, Stafford Don, and Ashley Inc. The Wiz is in the house, West Coast. All right, let's get back to it. Let's do this. Listen, real quick. All right. The Knicks started Jalen Brunson. They went back to Quentin Grimes. I know everybody was calling for that. That happened last night. You know how I feel about it. It's not like I don't like Quentin Grimes. It's not like I don't get what it means to have him in that starting lineup. I just feel like it's more theoretical than actual because the impact, because I just don't feel like he gets enough volume. And I just think that the Miami Heat are dug in on their philosophy of staying in the paint. And it's going to take more than Grimes going 2 for 5 or 3 for 7 or whatever it is to take them out of that. I just think they're going to give that up. But anyway, he started last night. RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Emmanuel Quickly was out with the ankle injury. For Miami, Gabe Vincent, Max Strauss, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. You don't really talk about him. He was out last night. All right, I'm going to get right into it. And then, of course, I'll bring, Jeff. And then I'll check in with the chat as I always do. I appreciate you guys. Listen, people are going to talk about Tom Thibodeau. And some of the complaints, if you will, or comments are legitimate and they are valid, right? He should have went small ball at some point in this series. That is something that I do agree with. Whether that was Obi Toppin at the 4, whether that was RJ Barrett at the 4. It's just that with Randle at the 5, you have to keep in mind, I don't know how healthy or unhealthy he is, but you're asking him to score for us and defend Bam Adebayo. That's a lot. Now, I don't know if we needed to start with that and play that most of the series or most of the game, but I do think it's something that I would have liked to have seen for a few possessions, but we didn't see it much. Some thinks he should have went to Grimes in the starting lineup sooner. There's some that's saying he shouldn't even took Hart out the starting lineup. He should have rolled with Hart, his rotations schematically. And I think, all of those points are valid. But when I look at the Knicks, this is just me. When I look at the Knicks and I look at Miami, I honestly, and this is just me, don't think there were any roster adjustments or schemes that would have made a difference in this series. And I know you could say that that's a pretty strong statement, but that's just what I believe. I think, Miami was just better. They showed up. They got the performances from most, if not all of their players. And the Knicks did not. For us, Quickly, Grimes, Randle, underwhelmed for this series. Like not even played up to the level that I'm not talking about a game here and there. I'm talking about the entire series. Just has not played up to the level that they played in the regular season. Forget taking it to another level. Just playing up to the level we expected in the regular season. Now, I'm not going to kill Grimes. This is his second year in the league. This is his first time in the playoffs. And you could throw other players in there. You could throw Mitch in there. There were some players who wanted, some fans, I should say, who wanted to throw Brunson in there. I wouldn't, but to each his own. So for me, yes, schemes relevant, rotations relevant, but you got to have players show up. The Knicks got the shots they needed to get throughout this series. Miami was giving us the shots, and we could not knock them down. So, yeah, you want to run a different offensive set, you're going to get a similar open shot. Can you hit the open shot? And listen, New York, and we'll get into it. I think they shot, I don't know, 40, I want to say 48% last night overall. I think they shot 33% from the three-point line, much better than they had in the previous games in this series. But they took 9 less shots than Miami overall. And I think Miami took 11 more three-pointers. Volume counts. Getting up enough shots, getting up enough opportunities at the basket counts. And the Knicks weren't able to do that. And I think the turnovers had, a lot to do with it. And quite honestly, I don't want to say the Knicks look shook, but they did not look comfortable. They don't look comfortable. Like when they played Cleveland, they were the aggressor. They looked comfortable. They looked like, yeah, we're here, and this is how we play. This is what we do. Against Miami, the Knicks don't look that way. The ball is right there. For whatever reason, the Knicks can't seem to get to the ball. They have it in their fingertips. The next thing you know, Miami is coming away with the ball. Like, what happened? Miami is the aggressor, and this is the difference between Cleveland and Miami. Cleveland knew what the Knicks wanted to do, particularly in second chance points, but in other areas as well. But they couldn't do anything about it. Cleveland was 4th in limiting second chance points. I think they gave up 12.1 for the season. They know that the Knicks were 3rd in second chance points. They knew what the Knicks wanted to do. They couldn't stop it. But Miami is not Cleveland. Miami was 3rd in limiting teams to second chance point, limiting them to just 12. The Knicks in the regular season, like I just said, averaged 16. You know how many second chance points the Knicks are getting in this series? 12. And last night they got 7. And and it's not just in second chance points. We can look at other categories as well. Miami know what the Knicks want to do, and they've been a formidable opponent in terms of stopping the Knicks in doing it. And I think that's been the difference in the series. Last night, the Knicks hardly turned the ball over. The Knicks are pretty good in not giving up points off turnovers. I believe they were 15th, top half in the league. Not great, but top half in the league in terms of limiting points off turnovers. Last night, the Knicks had 5 turnovers in the first 9 minutes. They ended up with 10 for the half, right? So there's just certain things that when you're on point, you don't do. Now, I think we'll talk about Randle a little bit. I think there is some injuries, but I don't think that's accounting for his total performance. I think Brunson is injured as well. I don't think Brunson is 100%. There's some, articles out there of what they have to do to work on him to get ready for the game, but he's not 100%. I don't think Mitch is 100%, but Butler's not 100%. He's not 100%, and he's out there rocking. So, just no excuse. Last night, the Knicks basically went to a 7-man rotation. Quickly didn't play. Obi and McBride played less than 6 minutes. And I get it. Tibbs is a trust guy. I think he trusts McBride a little bit. I think he trusts Obi a little bit. I think Obi gained his trust. But I wonder if the air balls in game 3, the air ball in game 4, I wonder if that eroded. Listen, if Tibbs is not totally bought into you, it's not going to take a lot to erode his trust. I still would have liked to have seen Obi play a bit more. You wonder if the Knicks giving up 7 offensive rebounds in that 4th quarter had a lot to do with them just being tired, right? You wonder if Randle would have been more fresh, had Obi played more minutes. I think Obi played, 4? I'm not sure what it is, but it was under 6 for both him and McBride. So It was a 7-man rotation. It was a 7-man rotation, and the Knicks just didn't get it. Just didn't get it done. And the thing with Obi, I want to say, I just think his confidence wanes a bit too much. And you can argue that's on the coach. It's the coach's job to keep your confidence up. And what do you expect if the coach, you start for Randle one game, you get 18 points, 8 rebounds. He comes back the next game, you go down to 12 minutes or whatever it was. How do you expect a guy to keep his confidence? That's valid. That is valid. But there's some players in this league, and I point to McBride, where it doesn't matter what you do. They stay confident in what they do. Obi coming out shooting those air balls in game 3 and game 4, you wonder how much of it was related to confidence. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying it might have been. Can we really and I've been hearing this in some of the chats. Shout out to Tony Crow. I was on Knicks and Bruises earlier. Shout out to Freezy, Uncle Freezy, Blanche Tears. I wasn't able to get on the show today, but I was listening while I was preparing for this show. And a lot of people, not a lot, but you heard some rumblings about whether or not some players on the Knicks are built for the playoffs. I'm not ready to say that. I'm not ready to say that, but I will say that Randle, Grimes, quickly did not look ready. I'll just put it that way. Does that mean we need to trade them? Does that mean they'll never be ready? No. I think growing pains happen even from Randle. This is his second playoff series. Sometimes players, listen, it's not like the Knicks go to the playoffs every single year and you get an opportunity to level up your performance year after year. Like that hasn't been the Knicks, right? So do I think Randle will never be a playoff performer? I'm not going to say that, but I will say this. The bar for trading, and I'm not saying I would trade Randle. What I'm saying, for me personally, the bar to trade him has been lowered for me. Like for me, it was like, I'm not trading Randle unless we get somebody definitively better than him. And it's not a lot of players better than him. So I'm not trading him. Now I'm like, well, you ain't got to be really better than him. But if you're equal to him and you've performed in the playoffs, I would be open to that. So I think the bar has, for me, has decreased a little when it comes to Randle, because I don't think all of what we're seeing right now is due to the ankle. And listen, I might be wrong. It may come out later that it was. I don't think all of it is due to the ankle. All of that being said, before I bring Jeff in and before I get to the chat, the Knicks are on their way. Nobody wants to hear this, but the Knicks are on their way. They'll continue to build. The front office will decide if the improvements that the Knicks need, because the Knicks do need to improve, should be all internal, just guys getting better, learning from this experience, and they'll be ready to go next year, or should they add a player here or there? I think it should be a combination of the two. We'll see what they do. Like I said, Cleveland, Sacramento, Memphis, probably the Knicks, took their lumps, in the playoffs this season. But to answer the question of the day, can the Knicks extend the series to 7? I don't believe so. I'm hopeful because game 5 is in the Garden. I'm hopeful, but I do not think so. Let me go through this. Let me get to the chat, and then I will go through this. All right. Let's see. Kerry Cox. Appreciate you. Honestly, I expected 2 wins in the second round. You might get it. You might get that. I am Jarrell. Yeah, 2 lackluster playoff performance from Randle. No excuses. Knicks are nice. I appreciate you. Front office will get us even better. Yeah. Keith Turner, Dolan ain't trading Randle. He would if he requested. Okay. I wouldn't lose no sleep if we did trade Randle, but I don't think Dolan would do it. Yeah. Sherman, 20 points, 9 rebounds, did not look good with the double and triple team. I hear you, Sherman, but I'm not just talking about game 4. I'm talking about the entire playoffs. And I get the ankle injury, but Butler had an ankle injury as well. You know, I think I've seen players in the playoffs play well and they don't get the support. They lose the series, and afterwards you say, wow, they lost that series, but it wasn't because so-and-so didn't do their part. He just didn't get the help that he needed, and they were able to crowd him and double and triple team him. I don't know if I can say that about Randle for the entire series. And I think the ankle injury, I'm not saying it gives us an excuse. I think it is a factor, but for me, I don't think I'm not going to say the reason Randle is playing that way is because of the ankle and only because the other guy's hitting shot. Because Brunson is not getting a lot of space either. They're crowding Brunson as well. You know, Brunson has an ankle injury as well. And he's finding a way. He's not playing at his best, but he's finding a way to get in there and be effective. And I'm not seeing that for Randle. Am I giving up on him? No, I'm not giving up on him. Heat are playing 10 guys and you're playing only 7. Yeah, good luck with that tactic. I agree. I would have played more yesterday. D Nice 77, appreciate 77. I appreciate you. 16 points in the postseason is unacceptable. Yeah. Knicks are not. Freezy won't speak on his guy that folded. Folded is a little strong, but I do get you. He's definitely underwhelmed. JJ, Miami gonna want to end this tomorrow so they can get extra rest while Boston series possibly goes set. And that's the thing about Miami. Miami smelt blood in the water. You know, just like we did when we went down to Cleveland for game 5. They was like, yo, we're at home. We can go up 3-1 and get a stranglehold on this series. And they played like it. Keith Turner, I just think our roster was just good enough to beat Cleveland. We ran up on Miami, and it's just not happening like that. They're just better. Yeah. I feel the same way. I do think maybe schemes would have helped. Maybe rotation changes would have helped. I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have been the difference. Miami is just better. Okay. JJ Reddick says something that he's 100% correct on. We as a Knicks fan base live in delusional land sometimes. We overvalue our talent and act like we're really good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you might be right. Let me run through this real quick because I want to bring Jeff in. I'm really interested in what he has to say about last night. I just like to put this up. This just gives you a good sense of just the flow of the game. And as you can see, it was all Miami. The Knicks' biggest lead was 1. Miami's biggest lead was 11. Brunson, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 11 assists, 1 turnover, 47.6% from the field. Barrett, RJ Barrett, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 threes, 56.3% from the field. Randle, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 turnovers, 61.5% from the field. The Knicks shot 48.7% from the field, 32.1% from the three-point line, 75% from the free throw line, but they only got 76 shots. Miami shot 47%, and they got 85 shots. Miami took 39 threes, 11 more threes than the Knicks. They shot 13. Volume. That's been the Knicks. We're not going to shoot it that great, but we're going to get enough three-pointers up. We're going to get enough field goals up. That wasn't the case. Butler, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 blocks, 52.9% from the field. Adebayo, 23 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 58.8% from the field. Listen, Bam, in my opinion, game 1 and 2, he played okay. But games 3 and 4, he's been on point. They had 5 players in double figures. The only thing that stood out to me in the box score was Obi Toppin played 5 minutes 35, 5.5 minutes. McBride played 4 minutes, then played 44. I mean, if that's something that has to be addressed in the offseason, hopefully Quickly comes back and Quickly is better and he can have some ball handling responsibilities. Obviously, he was out. I don't think Tibbs trusts McBride to kind of handle the ball. So Brunson had to play, 44 minutes last night. Grimes, 42 minutes. He was 3 for 8. Like, to this Grimes thing, I just think is just the impact that Grimes can have in this series. Everybody is clamoring for him to be in the starting lineup. That I just think is just overblown. He just doesn't get enough volume. He took 8 shots. He made 3 of them. I don't think that changed anything Miami did. Josh Hart only got 22 minutes. I think a lot of that was foul trouble. Though he actually fouled out of the game. So I think he was in foul trouble. And we missed him in that fourth quarter when Miami was getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound. Josh Hart would have helped us with that. Fast break points, 9-7. Points in the paint, the Knicks were +4. Second chance points, 17-7. That's part of our bread and butter right there. All right, let me bring in Jeff. Just so you know, Thursday morning, there'll be a morning recap show. Thursday at 12 p.m. in the neighborhood with Freezy. It'll be on my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, this channel right here. Thursday, 9:30, the Just Nicking It show. And hopefully we're talking about the Knicks having to go into Miami for game 6 and pull one out. We shall see. Let me add Jeff. Jeff, how are you? I can't. You're muted.
I've been better. Salute. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure. And you're amazing as always. Make sure y'all are hitting the like button. Ajay's not here to remind y'all, so I better do it.
That's right. Appreciate it. Your thoughts on game 4, and then we'll just talk about the series as a whole.
I kind of want to borrow one of your phrases that you use a lot to start what I want to talk about, and that's you're famous for saying you don't have to shoot the ball well to play a good game. And I think in game 4, what we saw is the inverse of that is also true. You can shoot the ball well and not play a good game.
That's true.
And I think what we're seeing is Miami does an excellent job of hunting our weaknesses. They attack Brunson relentlessly. They move the ball because they know Randle is weak on the closeouts. And so they keep swinging it. They make that extra pass. How many times did we see the first closeout is good, the second closeout is good, and then, Randle's on the back of a milk carton? Where is he at defensively? He's walking up the floor. That's what I was disappointed with Randle. But I think that the Miami Heat just do an amazing job of just getting you to do what they want you to do. Spoelstra is the best prepared coach in the business. And, you can say Tibbs is being outcoached, and I think that's true, and I think that's fair. What I don't think it's fair to say is that Tibbs is coaching poorly. Just because someone does it better than you doesn't mean that you're not doing a decent job. I mean, because he made the lineup switch that most of us were clamoring for, and I'm kind of with you. Grimes wasn't great, but I kind of like that he stuck with that was the formula that got us all the wins during the year. And Josh Hart off the bench, as he came in late, but that was kind of the formula that worked for us the whole time. So I'm kind of glad that he went back to it. Whether it worked or not, obviously we lost the game. So from that aspect it worked. But what I find interesting, especially on defense for Miami, is that they will get you to. They want you to make quick decisions. You have to react quickly. Pardon the pun, but you have to. They make you make a quick decision when you have the ball, and we have a lot of guys, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, just to name a couple, who aren't, and I would even say Quentin Grimes, who aren't necessarily the most comfortable in that situation. And so what that leads to is what we saw, lots of unforced turnovers, because the game is moving at a faster pace in our minds than we want it to. Mm-hmm. And I think that has had a lot to do with, and I'm not sure that that's fixable necessarily in the series, but it's definitely something I noticed. And I do also want to piggyback on something you said before, and that's, I think, the most critical number that you want to talk about in this series is the number 25. That is the average age of the Knicks rotation. 9 guys, average age of 25. This is the NBA playoffs. No team in the history of the league has had an average age of 25 and gone on to win the championship. Right. It doesn't happen. The playoffs are an old man game. You know, you were a coach, right? Yes. And so if you ever had a situation where you kind of had the coaches against your players might have been more talented, they might have been faster, they might have had a better dribble, but you were smarter. And so you're able to at least compete or do better because you're able to use your experience and your smarts and your expertise in ways that a younger team isn't going to be able to. And I think some of the ways that you see that materialize is getting away with moving screens. You know, they know how far they can push the envelope, and that's a big deal for what they're doing. But they're moving on every screen that they set, and it never gets called. I don't think I've seen it once. Whereas on the flip side, there was a play when Brunson, when whoever it was undercut Brunson, he put his foot down and Brunson landed on it, and we got the technical foul in the fourth quarter, made the 3 free throws. You know, right after that, we got the ball. Brunson missed the 3 in the corner, and Hart got the rebound, and they called Hart for a loose ball foul. Right. He wasn't even in the same area code as the guy. You know. And so I noticed, I don't know if you saw the clip on Twitter, but there were like all 8 of the calls on us in the fourth quarter were kind of that phantom variety, you know, and I'm like you, I don't want to blame the officials. We shot more free throws than them. So, you know, as bad, I think the bad officiating to me was that it seemed like all of the calls on us were on our big players. I mean, right. Josh Hart fouled out. Julius Randle fouled out. Mitch Robb was in foul trouble. I mean, and I think the only guy who had 4 fouls for them was Zeller. And if he fouls out, who cares, right?
Right. Yeah. Definitely. No doubt on that. About that. I don't think I want to get to Keith Turner. Call everybody out. Don't have your pick and chooses. Listen, Keith, I agree with you, but I'm going to ask the chat and then I'll ask you, Jeff. Don't you think that if you're one of the, I mean, a lot of people say Julius Randle is the best player on this team. I disagree, but people say he's the best player on the team. Brunson and Randle, don't you think if those are your 2 best players that much more is expected of them? Like, I don't think you can group Brunson and IQ. Like, I don't think you can group Randle and Obi. Do we need Obi to play well in his minutes? Absolutely we do. Do we need IQ to play well in his minutes? Absolutely we do. But you can't have a Randle or a Brunson underperforming throughout the playoffs and expect to move on to the next round. We were able to do it against Cleveland. We got players who who stepped up, and that's great, but that's Cleveland. Cleveland is not Miami. So I don't think I'm picking and choosing. I don't think I'm picking on Randle. IQ didn't play well. Grimes didn't play well. I'm talking about throughout the entire series. Giving Grimes, a pass. Randle has to show up for the Knicks. That's just it. He has to show up for us, and he has to show up for us consistently. That's just how I see it. And I've supported Randle, but to me, supporting a player doesn't mean making excuses. It doesn't mean making excuses. He needed to be better in this series, and he wasn't. In my opinion. Yeah, Nikki B, we know what Brunson is not. Brunson is not a defensive player. So if you're expecting Brunson, I'm not asking Randle to go there and be everything. I'm asking Randle to be Randle. We're asking Brunson to be Brunson. Brunson is not a lockdown defender. So are you going in there expecting him to be a lockdown defender? No. You go into this series expecting players to do what they do. And that's what Brunson has done. He's done in the playoffs what he does in the regular season. He's not a lockdown defender. Don't expect it. Randle is not a lockdown. He's not going in there expecting Randle to be a lockdown defender, score 50 points. We're just asking Randle to be Randle. And if you're fair, he hasn't been that. I mean, come on. But your thoughts, Jeff, on whether you should expect more of the better players on the team?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But in fairness, I'll do this then. Really, the only two players that I'll say have played well in the entire series, in my opinion, are Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett. Everybody else, and I'm president of the Mitch Robinson fan club, but Mitch hadn't been the same impact player he was last series. It's just facts, bottom line. And this is a sad stat, but I'm gonna say it, and it runs me crazy. Kyle Lowry out-statistic our entire bench in Game 4. Look at his line compared to what, and I get that Obi and Deuce only played 9 minutes, but all four guys who came off the bench, look at their stats, and you total them up, they don't equal what Kyle Lowry did. And so to me, yeah, the bench has to play better. The Mitchell Robinson we need more from. We need more from Quentin Grimes. We need more from everybody, but if you're the big star, and I consider Randle he was all NBA performer in my opinion this year. If you're an all NBA performer, you get the most shots. You have to perform. You have to be efficient. You can't be turning the ball over 6 times. 3 of those on offensive fouls. You've got to be in control on offense, and then just give me everything you got on defense. I'm not expecting you to be all world. I saw trips where he was walking back, where he's not even in the picture when they're going back on a fast break. He got killed a couple times by Kevin Love. Like Kevin Love is not supposed to be able to beat you off the dribble at this stage of his career. That just should not happen. And so, yeah, I'm critical of Randle, but you know what? He hasn't been good. That's just look, I like the guy. I want him to be good. And look, if we get a Randle who just gives us the baseline of what he gave in the regular season, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 or 3 turnovers with passable defense, as in given effort every play, then we can come back in this series, believe it or not, because he hasn't been that player. And maybe it's injuries, maybe it's whatever, but if you're out there, you got to play. I'm with you, Queen. I'm not going to make excuses for him. And nobody wants him to succeed more than I do. When he played in Game 2, when he got in that game, he was spraying the ball around. He looked awesome. And I gave him flowers after Game 2. In Game 3, he was a complete no-show. And Game 4, he shot the ball well, but not on very many attempts. And the rest of his game was was not very good. Now, if you want to go and say, well, Mitchell Robinson wasn't very good, I agree. You want to say Obi Toppin wasn't very good, I agree. You want to say that Josh Hart wasn't very good, again, I'll agree. But I don't think it's a case of playing picks and chooses. I think it's a case of you're the leader. You're supposed to step up. You're supposed to elevate your game. And I'm talking about settling for just not even elevation, just get up to the bar that you set during the regular year.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And it's not even a point. If you just look at every possession, he's just not having the impact I thought he would have. Now, I thought I think he played okay. I thought he played okay in game 4. He only took, 13 shots. He had 9 rebounds, he had 3 assists. So I thought he was more of himself in game 4 than he had been in prior, in prior games. I just think when you look at throughout the series, throughout the playoffs, the best players on the team come through for you. That's it. The best players on the team come through for you. RJ Barrett, some people are pointing out that his on-off numbers are not good in the playoffs. His defensive rating is not good in the playoffs. His plus minus is not good in the playoffs. If you're watching the games, and I'm not saying RJ Barrett is perfect, I'm not even saying Brunson is perfect. These guys have things that they need to work on. Don't get me wrong. But RJ looks better than Randle. He just looks more engaged. He looks more. He just looks different. His floor game is better. And I get you with the on-off numbers. I get you. He's not the greatest defensive player, no doubt about it, and that's an issue. So the Knicks are gonna have to work. You got Brunson in that starting lineup. You got RJ Barrett in that starting lineup. You got Randle in that starting line, who's able and has the ability, but we're asking a lot of him on the offensive, side as well. The Knicks are going to have to figure out what they're going to do defensively. But that being said, the Knicks, are holding Miami, less than what Miami was scoring against Milwaukee. We just haven't been able to, score the ball. Yeah, that's where I am with RJ Barrett. And listen, a lot of this could be because RJ Barrett was, and I'm talking about his floor game, I'm not talking about his stats, was so bad in the regular season. Maybe we're giving him too much props because we're like, whoa, look at how, how he turned it around. Maybe that's part of the dynamic. Let me let Ron in from Still Knicks fans. Ron, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. Glad you can join us.
Sorry, I would have been here sooner, but I had to cook and then I had to eat. So, scarf it down.
That's okay. That's okay. We still got some time. I got a hard deadline, 9:00, because my guy.
No problem. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Show at 9. Your thoughts on the series? Excuse me, not the series. I want to talk about the series yet. On game 4. Also, if you want to talk about Randle, a lot of fans in the chat think we're not being fair, that we're picking on Randle in terms of pointing out how he's played basically in the series, and if you want the entire playoffs. And some feel like we're giving too much credit to how RJ Barrett has played, given the statistical defensive rating, on off numbers, and plus minuses. So wherever you want to start with all of that I threw at you.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna say that I said it before, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not I I guess I'm just very happy with the way the Knicks have played up until this point. I think it's been a successful season. Once we took care of Cleveland, we accomplished something we hadn't accomplished in 10 years.
Mhm.
At that point, I was already happy. So I felt like anything after that was
Mhm.
gravy.
Mhm.
However, of course, as you see how things are playing out, you see what's happening in the rest of the playoffs, you see how the Knicks are playing, you do get a level of expectation starts to develop. And so now you're looking at it like, okay, I mean, we did what we did with Cleveland, but who's to say it should stop now? So, and
Right.
knowing the history of how the Knicks played Miami in the regular season, you felt good about it. However, as I go back to two different shows, my show and the show that we had after, before the pre-show, before the Miami series, we were
Right.
talking, you
Right.
cannot underestimate Miami. You can't take them for granted. And a lot of Knicks fans were on sky high, feeling very good about the team, which is nothing wrong with that. But you have to have realistic expectations and understand that your opponent, they knocked off Milwaukee. This
Right.
is Miami. This is Jimmy Butler. Like, it's
Right.
always the same thing with this team.
Right.
So I'm I'm disappointed in the effort and some of the play in game 3. People are focusing on game 4.
Right. That's
When I
true.
watched game 4, now mind you, I was watching it on a phone because I I couldn't really get the show the way I wanted to, so I had to go some back channels. But anyway, whatever. Anyway, um, so when I was watching it on the phone, I kind of felt conflicted. Like, do I think the Knicks played their best game? No. Do I think they played a bad game? Not so much either. Like, when I watched the game, I was like, okay, I see them hustling. There was certain plays that I wish guys could have got the loose balls. There's a lot of loose balls out there that Miami got to. But then again, as I was watching, now I don't know the game plan or what Tibbs had them schematically doing, but I
Right.
felt like if it was, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody in the chat knows or if you guys know, I felt like the Knicks with the guards were trying to stay home on Miami's players. So it wasn't a lot of guards coming to help grab loose rebounds. I felt like they were trying to stay home.
Mhm.
They know that Miami's such a threat with if they get the possible rebound, the kick out, and the quick three. I felt like
Right.
the guards were trying to stay in the vicinity of their players.
Right.
So that would hurt us on rebounding as far as helping out. The other thing is like the ball, just these long 3-point shots, long 3-point shots equal long rebounds. That favors the opponent. The balls were just, the ball kept gravitating to Miami. You got that. Then you got the Knicks. Some of them were knocking down shots, but then other guys were struggling at times. You couldn't get the big shot, right?
Right.
Another
The big shot.
The big shot. Another thing that was deflating. I mean, deflating. And I could see these Knicks players feeling like this because it's the same thing that we love about Jalen Brunson.
Mhm.
Every time the Knicks did something, Miami came down and hit a big shot, whether it be
Right.
a 2, a 3. Every time the Knicks tried to do something and they cut into the lead, got it to 5, Miami came down and hit a big shot. And then you
Right.
got loose balls. RJ and Grimes fighting over a rebound. The ball goes out of bounds. Miami
Right.
scores. Like, this is momentum changers. Like, we can't get anything from this. So you got all of that happening in game 4. And then one more thing. The referees were atrocious. So I don't want to blame everything on the refs
Right.
because in game 3, the Knicks should have won if they put more effort and they shot better. So that's on the Knicks. Game 4, the refs, those calls are horrible. The phantom calls. I'm
Horrible.
watching the videos today, like Jeff was saying. I saw it was like 8 unforced errors, and and there's like, what are these calls? Like the Josh Hart call for his 5th foul is horrific.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
it was
Right.
crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. I don't like to talk about the
That's what I
officials
wanted to
either.
say.
Yeah. I don't talk about the officials often, but I said in the intro, what it took for Miami to get a call and what it took for the Knicks to get a call was just two separate things. So yeah. D Nice says it sounds like we're making excuses. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that they're the reason we lost, the sole reason we lost, but I do think it was a factor. But to Ron's point, I think the main thing was Miami made every big shot. Miami answered every call. We whittled it down to 4, 5, 6, whatever it was. Here comes Miami making a shot. We're rotating well. That ball get to the corner. We just can't get there in time. The rotations were good, but they just made that one extra pass that we couldn't get to. It goes down. Like we can't catch a break. That being said, though, in that fourth quarter, Miami missed, a lot of shots, and we just weren't able. Yeah, they missed. Was it 10? They missed 10 threes in that, and we couldn't get the offensive rebounds. There was 2, maybe even 3 possessions where they got 2, 3 opportunities at the basket, and I'm not sure what that was. I mentioned earlier, maybe because we went with essentially 7 players. Maybe they were tired down the stretch. Josh Hart was in foul trouble. He wasn't in. He's a big rebounder for us. That could have been a factor. Mitch is not 100%. That could have been a factor. But Miami got to every offensive rebound, and they just got 2 shots at the basket, 3 shots. And that was deflating. Like watching that was really deflating in the fourth quarter, nonetheless.
Yeah, and I just want to say, it's like the bringing up the ref sounds like an excuse. If you want to say it's an excuse, maybe it is. But I'm just saying, when you got to understand, what we as New York fans want more than anything else is for our team to play hard. We want them to show that grit and that effort. But when certain things are not going your way, constantly trying to get loose rebounds and you're not getting them, they're just one step quicker to it, or the way the ball bounces, fine. And then when you do get an opportunity, you guys, same team, you fight over the ball, it goes out of bounds. I mean, stuff like that, it's deflating. Then the refs deflating, then Miami knocking down all these shots. It's deflating. Like, it takes you out of, like, because every time you get your juices going, the momentum, you lose it. And that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not making excuses for them, because they should have fought hard and gave effort the whole game. But I can see, and that's why I'm not focusing on game 4. Game 3 is where I'm upset with the Knicks. There's no excuse. Game 3, they should have won. They just didn't come out. They didn't play right.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Do you think the Knicks can extend this series to 7? Well, do we all agree that Miami is the better team and the Knicks are kind of the underdogs at this point, or not really? The Knicks, do you still think the Knicks are the favorite, but not the favorite, but the better team, just not playing well?
Go ahead, Jeff. I've been talking a lot, so I got a lot to say, man. I've been chomping up the bit.
You're good. So I sometimes better be silent and thoughtful than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's good for me to be quiet. But what I'll say about that is I have PTSD with Miami, so I was the one who was worried about this series from
Me too.
Game 1. I mean, so. From that standpoint, I do think we're the underdog. But to me, get game 5. Because if you can get game 5, suddenly the pressure shifts to Miami. Right. And that's something that hasn't happened yet this series.
Right.
Remember, because we split 1-1 and they came home, and we first of all, I think we should have a constitutional amendment banning Knick matinee games, because every time we play a matinee game, it's a disaster. I don't know if they go out partying on South Beach the night before or what, but if you don't even have to watch the game. What's the start time? 1 o'clock? Okay, chalk up the L. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy with this team. And maybe that's just in my head, but I just seem to recall like almost every like lackluster effort that we've had is because it's been like a noon or a 1 or a 2 o'clock start. And it's like, you expect that out of high school kids not to be playing the same time, but you don't expect that for pros. Just get out, step out and do your thing. But if we can get game 5, first, I think that does a couple things. First of all, I think it gives the Knicks confidence. So if you can get that one game and you get that confidence, then all of a sudden, okay, we just focus on the next one. And this team, for the roller coaster year it's been, has always played its best with its backs up against the wall. And what I'll be disappointed in, win or lose tomorrow, the only way I'll be disappointed is if we come out lackluster from an energy standpoint.
Right.
If we go out there and we're buzzing around the floor and we're just scrapping for every ball and fighting and things don't go our way, you tip your cap, you say, Miami, don't choke against Boston. You know, I hate Boston more than Miami. Maybe you don't, but
right.
But anyway, so to me, that would be the only disappointing result. Other than that, this is a team that's been on house money this entire series. We want them. We live and die with each shot, with everything. You know, we have all this passion, but we have to remember this Knicks team is ahead of schedule. This is year three of the rebuild. We've been to the playoffs for the second time in 3 seasons. We got to the second round of the playoffs. Let's get a second win in the second round, because what that signifies to me is that's the same level that we got to in the Carmelo Anthony season when he had all the geriatrics with him, you know, and we lost to Indiana in a series we shouldn't. And we knew that was kind of the end of the road for that team. That's not the end of the road for this team. Jalen Brunson is 26 years old. He's averaging 27 points per game in the playoffs. You telling me that there aren't players in the league chattering like, maybe I want to be a part of that? When was the last time the Knicks had a player that you could say that about? And I don't think Julius Randle is that guy. And that sounds like I'm hating on Randle, and I hate to do that, but not to the extent that Brunson is. That's what I mean when I say that.
Right. Yeah, good point. Ron?
I think it's very important, personally, for the teams, like, you know, I don't know, you don't want a moral victory, but I think you don't want to be in a position where you show that you're giving up. And you also want to come out and put on a good show for your home fans. I think that's important. And I mean, you know, nobody wants to have a series close out on their home court either. So there's definitely a reason why the Knicks should go out there tomorrow night and try to win this game and put their best foot forward. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be nail biter, because the Knicks, I'm assuming the Knicks are going to come out with you know, a lot of energy early, and Miami's going to try to withstand that, and then they're going to come back with their best shot and hopefully try to deflate the Knicks and take all the air out the room. The Knicks have to withstand all of that. So I think it's very important. But here, the flip side is, this is not surprising to me, because another thing that I was thinking about, and I was actually just thinking about it while you was talking, Jeff. The Knicks have been a streaky team all year. What's to say is this is, you know, what's to say this ain't happening in the playoffs either? What if we're going through one of our patented Knicks streaks right now, and it just takes them a little bit to figure it out, and then going into tomorrow night's game, maybe something clicks and they can flip it back and go back on that winning streak. This is a weird Knicks team. I don't know. I'm just saying they're a weird team. I will say that the problem that we had as fans, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, on paper, we feel like the Knicks are a better team talent-wise. And talent-wise, maybe they are. But it's the hustle, it's the heart, the intangibles, and most importantly, the experience. We are the Cavs in this series, because the Cavs were even younger than us and even less experienced, because only Donovan had experience in the playoffs, really. Now we're facing Miami. Like, they're like the blueprint for the playoffs, man. They just know how to play. They're smarter. And, you know, one of the other things that I wanted to say is what are the things that we complain about all year with this team? High IQ players. When do you need them the most? In the playoffs. So if we don't have them in the regular season, it's not going to change in the playoffs. This is when they start to get exposed. So I could keep going. Like, I feel like I can talk for hours about this. This is
Yeah. Before Ajay goes, I want to I think it was Margaret who was talking about the bench, but give more love to the bench. The bench hasn't showed up. You know, I think points at a premium. You know, we can't just sit there and ride you and hope that you're going to come through. So, you know, with Obi Toppin in his 4 minutes, I agree with the quick pull. I just would have liked to have seen him go back to him, you know, later on. Right. But I don't think you could just put a guy in there and just say, you know what, figure it out. We're just going to give you all of these minutes to figure it out. Our bench just hasn't been great. IQ, Grimes when he was on the bench. Who else is on our bench? Hart wasn't great last night, though, you know, throughout the playoffs when he was on the bench in the Cleveland series, he was great for us. Ihart has been great for us. He hasn't been much of a factor in this series. I don't know if Tibbs just doesn't like the matchup with him and Bam, but Mitchell Robinson is not doing a great job on Bam out of bio. But maybe Tibbs feels that, you know, Ihart with his lack of, you know, mobility would be even worse, you know? But, you know, the bench you got to show up in the minutes that you have, which makes the coach feel more confident that, okay, I'm gonna give that guy a bit more minutes. It just hasn't happened. And Obi Toppin with these air balls, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's confidence. I don't know what that. Why 3 air balls in the last 2 games? Like I just don't get it. Anyway, Ajay, your thoughts on game 4 and anything you want to talk about pertaining to.
Salute to you, Queen, Jeff Clafter, Ron, still Knicks fan, the chat, Knicks Nation. First of all, before I start anything, yo man, hit the like button. We're doing anemic Knicks playoff numbers right now with the like button. Let's hit it. So all these people are watching, man. Come on, play. That's all it takes. Come on, so let's hit the like button, man. Let's get this thing up.
Right.
Well, Queen, I know you don't like to blame the refs.
I talked about the refs.
And remember, I was texting you yesterday during the game. Listen, I don't give a bleep. I blame the refs. Okay, listen, I watched that game again. Okay, I watched last night. I watched the first half, and today at lunchtime, I watched the second half. Listen, I counted at least 10 50-50 calls that went the Miami Heat way. At least 10. Listen, it doesn't even have to go half and half, right?
Yeah.
You take away 3 of those calls, we probably win that game. And 3 of those calls doesn't mean the Knicks score. It just means like Miami scores less points. Gives us a better chance. Because that's 3 less possessions they would have. I mean, come here, listen. Josh Hart's get elbowed in the face. It's like the ref's like, well, what was your face doing there? So he called, I am. Why was your head there? You know what I'm saying? So I am blaming the refs. Granted, you know, the Knicks, yeah, they got beat. They got out-hustled. They got, you know, even with all that, Miami didn't play a superb game to the point where they should have won the game, okay? Because if it was fairly called, it would have, at least, it would not have been such an easy win. Listen, by the numbers, okay? Well, just now you were talking about the bench, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Obi Toppin, oh my God. I mean, you know, Clyde hasn't been calling those games because, you know, we'd have been getting a whole lot of UFOs going on if it was Clyde calling them games.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like you, Queen, I do not understand all those air balls. Okay. And it kind of hurt his stock too, not only with Tibbs, but with the rest of the league. It's like this guy completely disappears in some, you know, under some sort of pressure. You know, and we joke around that IQ lost a lot of money during these playoffs, but Obi Toppin, he didn't secure himself a good paycheck either. You know, and you can't really blame Tibbs because if I'm Tibbs, you can't really play him. The guy comes in, he's soft on defense. You know, you counting on his 3-pointers, but he's not hitting them. You know, it's like, okay, what do you do? You know, because Grimes
went back to him, and now did he played in the second half, right? Or he
did a little, yeah, for a couple of minutes. But I would have gone back to him when Julius Randle got fouled out. I didn't understand that Josh Hart, whatever he had in there. I would have given Obi a shot. So I didn't understand that substitution. But regardless, listen. And I heard you ask Queen, is at this point, do we say Miami's a better team? As a group, yes, they're the better team. Okay. I mean, if you start plucking player by player and you start comparing our play position by position, we probably have the edge. But as a group, as a team, they play better than we do as a team.
Right.
Could be growing pains. Could be maybe if we spend another 2 years together, maybe we beat that same team because we have more talent and we have more cohesion and more chemistry. But right now, you know, they've been through several battles together and they understand each other better than we do on our end. Listen, it's not, you know, we can keep our head up because this is Jalen Brunson's first year. This is year one of the Jalen Brunson era. And look at where we are. We're in the second round. So that's not a bad starting point. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good way to start.
And I was just thinking, plus, you know, that team got no fear, right?
No.
Going forward, they have no fear. I'm sure Jimmy Butler, Spoelstra, maybe even Pat Riley talked to that team. They knocked off Milwaukee. They're probably like using that like bulletin board material. We knocked off the best team in these playoffs. There ain't nobody else we got to worry about. They're very confident.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Keith Turner, I hear you. I thought Brunson moved the ball well last night. He had 11 assists. But listen, assists, one, you got to be willing to pass the ball. But two, guys have to make shots. Brunson is not perfect. You know, he's a real, him and Randle are both really good ISO players, and they're going to have to figure out a good mix between when do I go for mine, knowing that I can take this guy and get us a basket, and when do I move the ball? They're going to have to, you know, figure that out. But the Knicks are going to have to get better perimeter shooters, so that if I'm Brunson, I feel comfortable passing to them, because I feel like if I get in the key and I get to my spot, I got a pretty good chance of making this shot than passing it out to a Grimes or an IQ, who in this series just have not been playing well. And there's no excuses. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just saying it helps when you have those perimeter guys that gender confidence in you. And the Knicks are going to have to figure that out. Now, that could be internal growth. I'm not saying the Knicks have to go out and do anything. That could be Grimes coming into his own. That could be Quickly coming into his own. That could be RJ Barrett coming into his own. But that has to be, and if you guys have something else, have to be at the top of the list going into the offseason, this perimeter shooting. Because once you get it, now you got to pick your poison. No more loading up. We got guys that can hit shots. You're going to double team Brunson. You're going to leave the perimeter shooters. You're going to guard the perimeter shooters. You're going to let Brunson and Randle go one-on-one. That has to be somewhere at the top of the list.
It's easier said than done, though. Where are we going to get those snipers from?
Yeah.
There's snipers all over the league, man. You just have to go pluck them.
Well, yeah, we did that last season, right? We plucked Evan Fournier. He's a sniper, but then he can't hold himself. Ron, we did that. That's exactly what they tried to do last 2 seasons ago when we were in the playoffs. It's like, you know what? We need more shooting. So they went for more shooting, and it backfired.
D Nice is on it today. He said Miami, he seems to find undrafted ones. But this is the thing with Miami. If you look at their field goal percentage in the regular season, you look at their offense was like bottom in the league. Somehow in this playoffs, though, they've just been able to turn it on and just really, I think they're shooting more threes than they have in the regular season, and they're making more than they have, and they're taking more shots overall. I think they got the memo too. Volume. We got to get up more shots than we've been getting up, and that's what they're doing, which is similar to what the Knicks have done. They just haven't been able to do it consistently versus Miami. But that's a good point. Do we need new players, or do you just need those players to step up and just knock down shots like the Miami players?
No, we need new players. I mean, not saying, I don't think it's, look, I don't think it's one of those things where everything has to be switched up next year either.
Correct.
I'm just saying we got to get some perimeter scoring, because you get perimeter scoring, like you were saying, Steph. Not only does it open up the game for Brunson, who would be unstoppable, but RJ too. You can't, like, RJ would be a handful if oh man, if RJ kicks it out, these guys knock down these shots, you're in trouble. So I think it's very important.
Ron, I'm gonna put you on the spot there, brother. So who are you willing to get rid of to get those players?
Obi, IQ, Julius Randle. And I'm not saying I want to get rid of Julius Randle just to get rid of him.
Right.
I would get rid of Julius Randle because he's a big chip and he might help us. We might have to get rid of him if we want to bring somebody solid back. But
yeah, gotcha.
Right. But initially it would be Obi. I just think the more and more we see it, I just think that something has to change here. And I just don't think Obi's the right fit as a backup power forward to Julius Randle. I think we need somebody with a different type of skill set. And I think that quickly, I think I'd probably move on from Quickly, and it's not because of these playoffs. It's because of Quickly's own expectations, his own ceiling, what he values himself at. And I just don't think right now he's there. But yet we're going to have to be in a situation where we're going to have to pay him soon. Maybe not next year. We could drag it out, but he wants to be a starter in this league. Like, and you see our positions. Like, I'm not taking Quickly over, somebody else out there that we could bring in. Like, I think Quickly's going to have to go. That's my thought. Sorry to say it.
If the Knicks plan on signing Quickly long term, now's the time to do it. After these playoffs, now's the time to do it, because they could probably get him a little bit less than they would have if he didn't have such a bum.
76 million. That's it. That's it. What's that? 18 million? 76? Is that 18? Listen, that's it. I agree with you.
Oh,
No tomatoes. Look at, I'm buffering now.
No, because you know what it is? You was about to say, Ron, I think you just said one of the best things I've ever heard ever. So yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna say RJ Barrett. Now, hear me out. I've been impressed with RJ Barrett in these playoffs. He's not somebody that shrinks from the bright lights. He showed up for us. I don't care. You could talk about his on-off numbers. You could talk about his defensive rating. You could talk about his plus minus. And RJ Barrett has showed up for the New York Knicks in both of these series. Has he been perfect? No, but nobody on the Knicks has. The only reason I say that is I just feel that at that small forward position, we need a shooter. That's it. If I had more trust in RJ Barrett's three-point shooting, I wouldn't even have a problem with let it be RJ Barrett. I just don't think it's gonna come along the way we need it to come along. And I got news for you: the shooting guard position too. I think Grimes can head to the bench. I just don't think he's ready right now. And I don't think we can just do a wait and see. Oh, well, don't bring anybody else in. Let's just wait and see what Grimes is going to do next season. No. We're going to bring somebody in. And if you also become a sniper, then that's a nice problem. Then we got to figure out how to move the guy in front of you. But that 2 and 3 position, in my opinion, have to be upgraded with shooters. And I have no problem if Quickly has to go to bring in the small forward that we need now. That creates other problems in terms of who's going to back up Brunson. But yeah.
Here's the problem. Coach Tom Thibodeau, the way I see him, if Quinn Grimes goes to the bench, becomes a guy off the bench, you know what he's going to do, right? He's going to start Josh Hart as the shooting guard. That's what he's going to do, regardless of what
we got to bring in somebody else.
Don't leave it up to Tiz, because he's going to tell you Josh Hart is all he needs.
Well, Josh Hart is not the knock that I value Josh Hart. I do see him as being a key piece on a championship team, but he's not a knockdown. He's not a knockdown shooter. I think Tibbs values shooters that can defend, but I just think that when you leave him between Josh Hart, who's all over the place doing everything, and Grimes, who seems a little not ready for the moment, he's going to pick Josh Hart. But if you bring in, I don't know who, a Buddy Hield that plays defense, Buddy Hield is going to start over Josh Hart. A defensive-minded Buddy. I'm not saying Buddy Hield himself, but somebody like that who's also playing defense.
I agree with that.
Listen, man, I wasn't ready to talk about the postseason yet, man.
Yeah, I know, but somebody asked the question.
Yeah.
So I think it was you, Ajay.
I know, but I wasn't ready, It's like I'm almost sad. I asked the question, but I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe we're talking about the postseason already. Man.
Right. Shout out to Jarrell coming in for the last.
Sure.
What you got to say, Jarrell, before we get out of here? We got 10 more minutes because I don't want your show to be late.
Yeah. Salute to everybody on the panel. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. We down 1-3, and we still making excuses, man. We got to stop doing that. Like we're on the brink of going home.
Yeah.
Like the season's almost over. Some of us are still running with the same narratives that we've been running with all season. Like if your favorite guy isn't playing well, and we say something about him, it just is what it is, man. They're just having a bad playoff series. Like it could be Julius Randle can definitely come back next year, get to the playoffs next year, and he can redeem himself. But as of right now, he's not playing how he's supposed to be playing. It's just as simple as that. But even he'll say that, he's not playing up to his potential. He already said that Miami might want it more than we do.
Right.
Like I said that himself in the press conference. So if the players aren't giving up excuses, we shouldn't either. Like Mitch said, he need to start coming to the game with energy, like after game 4 of the second round of the playoffs. That energy should have been there already. Like some of these players just aren't ready yet. They might be ready next year. We'll see. But as of right now, they're just not ready. You can tell. Like we get no excuses, man. Like the season about to be over.
Right. So nobody on this panel really believes we can push this to 7 games.
Oh no, I believe it. I believe it.
I believe it. This is one game at a time.
Yeah, if you win tomorrow, as Ajay said or Jeff said, either way, the pressure shifts. Like Miami's like, okay, well, we got to close this out because we don't want to go back to New York. Right. I would agree with that. So yeah, I definitely think that if the Knicks come out and just say, listen, this is our last game. This is our season. We're going to go golfing after this. Let's give it all out there, put it all out there in the court, do whatever we got. I think the Knicks need to play like they are the favorite and that it doesn't matter what happens. Let the refs call the fouls. Go out there, be physical, be tough, smack some guys around and impose your will. Julius needs to go. I don't want to see it. And you teeter-tottering because Julius could get thrown out. But I need that type of Julius for tomorrow's game. I think we need it because we need the dog to come out of him, and it's gonna filter to everybody. Josh Hart's gonna get barky, like he's been barking, but no, he's been trying to calm himself down too because everybody thinks that Miami's trying to get under people's skin to get them out of they could get thrown out of the game, and then who knows what can happen. These guys, the Knicks need to go just say, look, this is our last game. Let's play like if we are the favorites here and they're coming into our house. They're going to have to pry this victory out of us. It's our victory. You're going to have to take it. That's how they should play tomorrow.
I will say before we get to Ajay, series have turned from one game. It's usually not when it's 1-3 though. Usually, you think about the Phoenix Denver series. You thought Phoenix was dead in the water. Now Chris Paul's not playing. And if I'm not mistaken, they tied that series up, did they?
Yes.
They did.
Yeah.
Exactly. A series can turn and then you find something. And you be like, oh, we don't even have Chris Paul. And look what we're doing. You find something. Can the Knicks find something? Down 1-3. It's going to be tough, but possible. Go ahead, Ajay.
Yeah, no, it's not impossible. And I was gonna say because Ron was saying, fight, throw a little elbow. throw a little, hit him in the rib, put your foot in the. Am I the only one who think Miami purposely put their foot in people's landing spots?
Oh, they do. They coach that.
Listen. These guys, they land awkwardly, like weirdly, and then wait for, like yesterday when Jalen Brunson, when he hurt his ankle again. Gabe Vincent's like actually looking at him coming down, almost like he's aiming. Oh, let me see where he's gonna land. Boom, put his foot there. His first injury, go back and watch it. Bam Adebayo actually stepped on his ankle. He actually stepped in and pushed it down.
Yeah, and like, acting like he didn't know he was on Brunson.
Like he didn't know. He's looking up, and then he's like,
"Come on."
Yeah, you didn't feel that under your foot, right? Yeah, okay. But yeah, listen, throw a little dirt in there. That's how they want to play. Let's play like that with them. We ain't got nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah, even though I did say, no excuses, the refs have certainly sucked this series. Every
that's not an excuse though. That's
it
real
can be. It can be an excuse. It just depends on how you use the excuse. It could be this. It's a thin line between excuses and reasons. Let's just say that.
Jarrell, when I got on the show, the first thing I did, I called out the refs. I said, yesterday's game, I'm blaming it on them. So it's not an excuse. Listen, I watched that game again, and I'm like, man, look at these refs, man. They weren't calling anything for us.
I was listening. The first thing you did when you came on here is what you always do. You got on the chat for the likes. I know that. That's what you got.
You're not going to sneak that by Jarrell now. Jarrell's sharp.
That's what you got on. I heard you, AJ. Good job.
That's right.
The refs are not letting. Hey, man. If that's the
no,
case,
shout out to Humble Down in the chat. He said the refs didn't suck; they executed perfectly.
Yeah, depending on you're right. Depending on what their marching orders were, that could obviously be true.
Yeah. No doubt. Just your thoughts on, before we get out of here, thoughts on Game 5 tomorrow, 7:30 at Madison Square Garden. Do the Knicks win and push this series to 6 back in Miami on Friday?
I'm gonna be real quick and just say yes, because we have to. I don't really have no type of reason why I'm saying yes, because the way we've been playing, like my head says no, but my heart says we're not going to go out of the season like that. We can't. Like the way we talked about Cleveland, Miami doing the same thing that we did to Cleveland.
Right.
And for them to win on our home floor, I don't want to see that at all.
I'm always wrong about my predictions, so I'm going to say Miami's going to win so that we get a Game 6 in Miami.
Okay.
The Uncle Julio effect.
Right.
Listen, I think we're going to come out and play. I don't think we're going to just bow down and take it. So we'll have a chance to win. And shout out to Tony Brothers, as I always do, and as I always say. He's been on the West Coast. I hope they keep him over there. So if he doesn't if he doesn't call that game, we have a chance. If he calls it, we're dead in the water. I don't care what anybody says. I watch the games. We lose 90% of the games Tony Brothers officiate. So I don't care what anybody says. Call it excuses, call it whatever. I'm just saying what I see. So, yeah, we can win. I mean, we're going to come out and play tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to play tomorrow. I think they're going to show that they have some grit. I just think they just have to continue to fight throughout the whole game. Don't let Miami take them out of the game. Just keep going and play Knick basketball. That's it. Forget about the refs. The refs going to call some crazy stuff tomorrow too. Just don't worry about it. We knew that coming into the series. One of the things we said, Miami's going to get calls. So it was to be expected.
Right.
Especially Jimmy Butler. We know he gets like all these stupid calls. Like, what are we playing here?
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. Listen, I'll know in that first quarter.
Yep.
Now, Miami is not going to give up. But, I mean, I'll know about the Knicks. You know what I mean? Yes. The Knicks can get out to a 20-point lead. It means absolutely nothing. Miami is going to be back in that game. It's going to be a close one. The Knicks are going to have to close it. I doubt Miami gets blown out. But that first quarter is going to tell me what I need to know about the Knicks. Are you diving on the ball? Are you diving for loose balls?
Yep.
Are you grasping the rebound? Like a fingernail should not have the ball flying out of your hand when you've secured the rebound. I can't tell you how many times that happened. They had the rebound next to, Miami just took it out of their hands.
Yep.
So that's going to tell me, a lot. I don't know if you got to keep double teaming Butler and letting the shooters listen. Concede Butler 30, concede Bam 30. That's still just 60 points. Stick with everybody, stick with everybody else. This double teaming,
Right.
they're just killing us, these open shots.
Steph, I'm telling you, I've been saying that every game. I'm saying just play these dudes straight up. I don't know why they keep doing this.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It is insane that we keep doing that.
Yeah.
One thing though, I'm more
on
worried
defense-
about the second quarter, because our second quarter, start of the second quarter, especially the last two games, have been dreadful. Like I think we scored 7 points in the first 8 minutes of quarter number 2, and that's when that was when the bench was in, and it went from 31-30 to we were down 8 like that, and that was ball game. It turned out, but so yeah, we need to come out good in the first quarter, but we need to not stink up the joint in the second quarter.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
and we can't get out rebounded by we got out rebounded.
Yeah.
We just can't
that's
get out
horrible.
rebounded.
The second quarter was brutal yesterday. On defense, listen, man. Anybody goes for a pump fake, I'm putting you on the bench. Anybody goes for a pump fake. Listen, this is Miami. Miami for every shot they take, there's like 2 pump fakes before the shot, except for the 3-point shot.
And the flybys. Don't forget the flybys.
The flybys, yeah. And
Right.
the flyby is kind of a pump fake, but you don't, if anybody do this, you go into the bench. That's it for you for the game.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll see a little small ball. Not a lot. I think you're asking Randle to do a lot to, defend Bam and score, or, on the other end. But I like to see a little more of it. All right. I can't go any further because you want to talk.
Wait, before you get out of here, Steph, what you guys what are you gonna be talking about, Jarrell? What's going on tonight on tonight's show?
Tonight at Die Hard Giants Live. Yeah, right now. Die Hard Giants Live. We're gonna do a NFL recap, man. Recap for the draft, man. We're gonna go through the strengths and weaknesses of all of our draft picks. And I do have a highlight on a undrafted free agent signing too. So we're gonna have a nice show.
Nice.
Have
Come
a great
through,
show,
Ron.
man.
Thank you.
If you still on, I gotta go get my laundry. But when I come back, if you still on, I'll jump in.
Yeah. I'll probably put the link in the chat. Anybody can come through. We're gonna be on for a little bit, probably about an hour.
All right.
So for those who don't know, Jarrell has his own. If you're a New York Giants fan, or if you just want to support our panel members, the link is in the description. New York Giants Live. I hope I got that right.
Yeah. Die Hard Giants Live.
Die Hard. Look at that. What
It's all
I said,
good.
New York Giants.
It's all good.
Yeah. Die Hard Giants Live, 9 p.m. Like now. We're
Right.
going to be going on probably in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5-10 minutes. We'd be on.
Yeah. So
But
no rush.
When you said if you're a Giants fan, even if you're a Jets fan, hey Jeff, even if you're a Jets fan, come on there just to throw a little hate, just to show your
Yeah,
aggravation.
I like the hate. Come get it. I like the hate.
See, that's
I
not
can know
me, a
that.
Jets fan though. I hate it. I hate the Patriots.
Yeah,
and I
Jets
hate the
cool.
Dolphins. We play the Giants once every 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And y'all beat Brady twice. I got no problem with the Giants. I may be in the minority of Jets fans, but the Giants are the least of my problems.
Jeff, you know what's crazy? I think we play each other this year, and we might play opening night.
Yeah,
that's the
and we
rule.
might play in
I
the
think
Super
we do.
Bowl.
Yep. Hey,
Oh.
that'll be
Whoa.
even better.
Wow.
You imagine?
Listen, I got no love lost with the Jets, man. They hurt my guy, man. Jason Sehorn, man.
Jason's. Oh yeah, I'm at
Preseason game, man. Ruptured his Achilles, bro. Anyway, all right. It's too hard. That's too much right now.
You gotta let that go, bro.
All the way
That
back.
was like 25 years.
That's a long ground there, boys. Man, I'm not gonna make you mad.
Talk about holding grudge, man. Come on.
I need a minute, man. I need a minute.
You talk about somebody spraining Ronnie Hampton's ankle or something.
right.
Oh man.
Anyway, peace, fam. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We don't have enough time to shout everybody out, but I appreciate you rocking with us, and we'll be back. Appreciate you.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Don't so,
Where you at? Where you at?
don't so,
Where you at? Where you at?
don't